Ladies and gentlemen, how are you doing? I'm sure you've all seen this video of President Trump laying down the law, dishing the beats out to this horrible, slimy South African liar who, he's got a head like a meatball with a face drawn on it, and he's shockingly dishonest. I'm not going to play the whole thing. I'll put a link to it in the description because I don't want to bore anyone with it. But essentially, I'll give you 30 seconds of the video that he shows to the South African president when the lying sack of rats tells him that no, there's nothing to see here, nobody's getting killed in South Africa.
There's nothing you can do, there's nothing this parliament can do. With or without you, people are going to occupy land. We require no permission from you, from the president, from no one. We don't care, we can do whatever you want to do. Who are you to tell us whether we can occupy land or not? We are going to occupy land. Yes. South Africa, occupy land. That's who we are.
Honourable member,
you want to do, you can withdraw my membership from this useless parliament.
Honourable, yes, honourable member.
Must never be scared to kill. A revolution demands that at some point there must be killing, because the killing is part of a revolutionary act. Shoot to kill.
And you've all seen genocidal Bon Jovi at the end. So this is a known fact. It's an obvious fact. Anybody with eyeballs and ears knows it. And President Trump doing what I love about the the Trump era, right? Getting rid of all this bollocks where you have to be polite all the time and you have to dance around every issue. And as much as I like him, even Jacob Rees-Mogg, the unending politeness is getting us nowhere. This hyper-feminine way that we dance around issues and our politicians only use passive-aggressive talking. Oh yes, well perhaps I've heard this might be a little bit strange. No, you just say, oi, knobhead, I've heard you're murdering people and stealing the land off them. What do you have to say about it? And then he projects it on a video right in front of his fat, perfectly spherical head. And the bloke's got nothing. So anyway, I'll put a link to that. I'm not going to talk about that. I want to talk about something much more interesting, which is the media response to it, and especially, disgustingly, a BBC interview with a South African farmer who's just been given the right of abode in the United States, where the contempt and hatred for them is clear for anybody with eyeballs. My mate Crossy sent me this. It filled me with rage watching it, so thanks to him for inducing another 12-hour rage boner. Not happy with that. Couldn't get my trousers on and get to work. It's shocking. It's shocking. And this attitude it's dripping off every single mainstream media outlet. All they do is lie. I'm going to show you, so get ready. It does make you think though, doesn't it? It does make you think. 13 to 15 million illegal immigrants entered the United States on purpose under Biden's watch, but apparently we can't squeeze in 59 Saffers. Right then, let's get into it. The mainstream media's lying. All they do is lie every day. Lie. Loads of room for 13 million randos from all around the world. Unvetted randos. But 59 blokes from a country where farmers are being dragged out their houses and bummed to death in the cornfields. Weird that, innit? It's so obvious Trump's a bad man for making room for 59 people. When, Biden was definitely all about stringent regulations and background checks for the 13 million Guatemalans he let in. Yeah, it makes loads of sense, doesn't it? And obviously the mainstream media was all singing off the same hymn sheet. It's not happening. It's not happening. Don't believe your own eyes and ears. Listen to the journalists. They'll tell you what's going on. Well, here's a good example of a journalist. I use the term very, very loosely. Okay, looser than Elton John's ring piece. This interview, I'll just play it. It is dripping with contempt. Have a listen.
This week, a group of 59 white South Africans arrived in the US, where they've been granted refugee status. President Trump says the refugee applications were expedited because the people concerned were victims of racial discrimination, something South Africa's government denies. The Afrikaners are descended from Dutch settlers who arrived 4 centuries ago to South Africa and who led the government which brought in apartheid.
4 centuries ago. 4 centuries ago. This is what I'm saying. When you talk to a shit-for-brains, chippy Irish American who's about as Irish as a bucket of Bombay mix, and he starts going, hey, them English fellas killed all of our people. They've never been to Ireland. They don't know what the plantation of Ulster was, and they think England invaded Ireland for a laugh in 1965. This isn't what's happening. And I'm sorry, if you don't think people that moved somewhere 4 centuries ago should be left unmolested in peace, you're a psychopath, and you're basically advocating holding the great-great-great-great-great-great-great-grandchildren accountable for any misdeeds, real or imagined, of their ancestors, the forebears. So you're a bit of an idiot. But carry on, racist, communist rabble-rouser.
Racially segregated political system, which has led to discrimination against black South Africans, and it's no longer in force. Well, usually it takes years for the US government to process refugee applications, but this group waited only 3 months. Well, our North America correspondent Nomia Iqbal has been speaking to one of those who made the journey.
If you're white, you're wrong in South Africa. You're a land thief, you are a racist. The whole time it's being told, and there is racist white people, plenty of them.
You say you're not a racist white person?
No, not at all.
You say you're not a racist white person. I'll stop you there. I'd have just walked off. I'd have went, here, Iqbal, why don't we just skip the middleman, right? We'll do a Ouija board and we'll get Osama bin Laden to do the interview.
I've got many black friends. I think I've got more African black men as friends as white friends. I'm tired of being told, just because I'm white, I'm a thief. Just because I'm white, I'm wrong in this. I had nothing to do with apartheid. Nothing, nothing, nothing.
Is there anything specific that's happened, Charles, that made you think, I've got to get out of here? I've got to leave?
After the death rates and stuff and my machinery being cut up, and I'm still, after reporting everything to the police, not getting any protection or anything like that. The only thing that's left on my farm is a sign that says mining area. All the fences has been taken off. Boom gates has been broken off.
There are voices out there, including the South African president, who has called you cowards.
Yeah.
You've got other Afrikaners who are saying that you're not refugees, you're opportunists, that you've abandoned the country. What would you say to those people?
What you meant there was everybody who works for the BBC wants to insult you to your face, call you a coward, an opportunist, and basically just insult you for a laugh because we can. And you've had to leave a country behind that you were born and raised in, and 10 generations of your ancestors were born and raised in. And because of that, you're a coward. Yeah, because you don't want to watch your daughters get fisted to death by a mob of 500 sweaty illiterates. You're a coward. and you are a bad person because you're white, because everybody knows if you look like that, you're a bad person. Because just like the North Koreans, the woke believe in generational blame, and they think if your great-great-great-great-great-great-granddad stole a loaf of bread, you should get your head caved in the middle of the street, because they're progressive, don't you know?
I had to leave a 5-bedroom house, which I will lose now because I'm not going to pay for it, behind, my car behind, my dogs behind, my mother behind. It is not, I didn't come here for fun, but my children are safe.
What was it like when you got off the shuttle bus and came into that hangar and were greeted by the Trump administration?
It was overwhelming. I didn't expect that because I thought we're going to be in a shuttle bus, taken somewhere, and we must start working. All of us that is there, we know we're going to start here from the bottom because we are the new people here. We're going to start from the bottom.
Do you ever worry that you might be caught up in some big political game here? That you're a pawn somehow?
Yeah, it's a scary thing, but people mustn't think we're just taking advantage of this. We're coming here to make a contribution to the country.
Old tweets of yours have been dug up in which you appear to have made anti-Semitic comments, and so people are questioning.
Old tweets have been dug up. Who goes through the old tweets of a bloke who happens to have been selected to be lucky enough to be one of the first 59 people to get asylum in the United States? Who's going through their old tweets? Well, obviously it's the BBC, but why? Don't ask who, ask why. Why is the BBC going through their old tweets? It's because they hate this man because of the colour of his skin. They hate him because of what he is, and they hate him because of what his family represents. And of all the things you could ask someone who's just had to flee his ancestral home because he's worried about the safety of his children, why, in the name of the Virgin Mary's piss flaps, is this dippy bint asking a bloke, what is that, like the 4th question she's got for him? Ooh, you've got some racist tweets. Honestly, you can tell he's not a bad person because he didn't just spit in her face and walk off the interview. It's unbelievable. Why are you asking? Fourth question out my mouth. Oh, we've dug up some mean tweets. So what? He can tweet whatever he likes. He's allowed an opinion. There's tweets out there from the likes of Wes Streeting, sitting government ministers, who talked about baseball batting someone's face in. They never ask politicians about mean tweets, do they? Labour politicians. They'll ask Farage, but they won't ask Labour politics. Why isn't the third question out of your mouth when you sit down with Wes Streeting? Didn't you say that we should smash people's heads in if they disagree with your politics, Wesley? It's a bit weird, this, isn't it? Sitting down with an asylum seeker who's just left everything behind. And the fourth question out of my mouth is, we've dug up some rude tweets. Jog on, Abu Hamza with tits.
Should you be here? What would you say to that?
I would like them...
What would you like to clarify?
I've deleted the comment, but I was actually thinking I should have not deleted it. If you can look where I commented on, it was Passover, the Orthodox Jews, and I'm Christian, were spitting and screaming and bumping Christians walking with the cross. For me as a Christian, that is not acceptable. In Israel, and I went and I said something on Twitter, which I copy and pasted from somebody else's page, because if you go read my post, you'll see it's not the way I write.
So you had quoted someone else. I mean, the quotes...
I copied and pasted it.
The quotes were anti-Semitic.
Yeah.
They said Jews are dangerous people, they're untrustworthy, they're not God's chosen people.
I was super angry.
So you did it out of anger?
Yeah. And I was in hospital at that point of time. I was on morphine. But that's not an excuse. I'm not trying to make an excuse.
Do they?
They do, yeah. I took 2 ibuprofen, and the next thing I was goose stepping up Linthorpe Road in Middlesbrough. Of course they don't. Again, this is the passive-aggressive shit, isn't it? What's the point in the questioning? What's the point in the sneering and the disdain? He was annoyed, so he tweeted. So what? If you were to troll through the tweets of all these left-wing BBC journalists, you could dig up unending hatred. We've all seen them. Everyone's got spicy tweets. You get pissed off and you type a sentence out, oh God, I hate these people. So what? Don't make me bother doing a deep dive on some of the hate-filled tweets, the likes of Ash Sarkar and sitting members of parliament, or the squad out here. Don't make me bother, because we all know everyone's got him. That was positively tame, and he was annoyed during Passover. Whippy-do. It doesn't mean he wants to murder anyone, does it?
Even now, if I would see any person going against my religion, I will speak up against it.
You have high hopes being here in America. Is there a part of you that is anxious that it might not work out?
No, to be honest with you, because of my belief, I believe this is God's plan for me.
And that's it. What a hateful sack of rats that was. The BBC's a national disgrace. I mean, the unending chains of pedos that have walked in and out of that building is beyond the pale. But at this point, it does. We should get rid of Broadcasting House. Bulldoze the entire thing, build a car park on it, deny it ever existed, and hopefully we can erase our national shame in a few generations. That was disgraceful. They are copying the playbook of all the mainstream media, denying what is as plain as the nose on your face and running sneering, disgusting hit pieces like that on some poor bastard who just rocked up a week ago. The far left causes the far right, and the behaviour of the media in the last couple of weeks is making a conspiracy theorist out of me, because at the end of the day, you can't deny at this point that there seems to be an agenda. If we can fit 13 million randos in from the third world, but the second we let 59 Europeans in, it becomes weaponised by the powers that be. It does make you wonder, doesn't it? 13 million versus 59. What's the problem here? And then they ambush them off the plane and get 2 borderline jihadis to spit hateful questions at them and sneer at them and scorn them and dig up the tweets. It's unbelievable. Anyway, that's just my opinion. If you think nothing's happening in South Africa, and that fella did just leave his 5-bedroom detached house and his cars and his dogs behind for a laugh, just for a laugh, let me know in the comments, because I'm impressed at your talent for jamming 20,000 square pegs through round holes. All right, that's me for the day. Thanks for tuning in. I'll see you all tomorrow. Toodle pip. Cheers.